going on, everybody? As you guys saw in the intro, I have officially landed back in Michigan. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, and I am on my way right now to become legal, and I'm going to try to get out into the woods tonight. It is absolutely perfect here. It's a northwest wind. It's about 52 degrees out, so I've done a lot of scouting the last few weeks on the maps. Found a couple fields, don't know if they're corn, beans, what they are, so I'm gonna go run into town, get my tags, and then come home, change, and hit the woods, and hopefully be able to get my first hunt on public land here in Michigan, so stay tuned. All right, so I got my tags, we're officially legal. I got out a little later than I wanted to, but we're gonna give it a shot. The spot I'm gonna go to, I scouted back in July and found some pretty good sign back then, but obviously it's 3 months later, things could have changed, but we're gonna go back there first. The way that set up was, it was some thick bedding butted up against some swamp, and it had a bunch of trails coming in and out of it. And it, in my mind, set up good for a north, northwest, northeast wind. So we got a northwest wind, so we're going to give it a shot. But if I get back in here and start seeing some better sign, we'll obviously shift to that. So stay tuned, and I'll see you at the tree. Set up. When I was walking in, I kicked something up that sounded huge, and it came from the swamp. So I'm hoping maybe he had no idea what I was. It just took off and deeper into the swamp, and it sounded big. It didn't blow. I think I spooked it, and it didn't know where I was. So I'm hoping maybe he'll circle back and come back around. I'll pan around here in a minute, but basically what I have is I'm right on the edge of swamp and hardwoods, and behind me here is pretty thick, and then I have the swamp right here. So when I scouted this back in July, there's a trail probably 30 yards away that was beat down with tracks coming and going. When I was walking in, I came across a lot of deer sign. So we'll sit here and see what happens. So I really didn't get to do a breakdown of last night's sit. It was kind of a rodeo, getting down from the tree and trying to find my way back in the pitch black, a place I've never been. So long story short, I sat that last night and ended up having an encounter with a basket rack type 8-pointer. I don't know if you guys could hear me when I was doing my set up in the tree, but when I was walking in, I kicked up a larger type animal, sounded like a deer taking off, that ran deeper into the swamp. So I don't know if it was that deer coming back around to where it was bedded at, or if it was another buck, but nevertheless it came from behind, not where I was expecting. And I tried to get it on film. To be honest with you, for being Michigan and being public land, I would have probably shot him. So the camera ended up costing me the shot. I was trying to get the camera on him, get set up for a shot. he caught movement and he wasn't even gonna look. He just took off. So I probably won't go back and hunt that spot again. Today I'm gonna do a little bit of scouting here. It's about 1:30. So I don't know if I'm gonna actually hunt this spot tonight. I have another spot where I found some standing corn that I think I'm gonna hunt, but I'm gonna scout this area for possibly tomorrow or going into the weekend. Basically the way it's set up is it's just this huge overgrown CRP, and then it's got some thicker, looks like some thicker woods ahead. So I'm gonna walk that and try to start seeing if I can get on some rubs, some scrapes. I drove this morning probably about 8:30, and all the spots that I was wanting to hunt, there was at least one, if not two cars. So again, I knew coming into this, Michigan is challenging, just the amount of bow hunters. And yeah, so last night was promising. Got on a deer, would have shot him if I wasn't self-filming, but that's just how it goes. So stay tuned and we'll see what we find. All right, change of plans. I'm hunting that tonight. That is some fresh sign. There's that ginormous scrape with that huge track in it, and it looked like it's been worked in the last day or two. And then I don't know if you guys could see, but then there's another secondary smaller scrape that's got tracks in it as well. And that area back there is just beat down with fresh tracks. Another positive about that is there's an oak island just right there where I'm going to set up. There's a perfect tree that it's going to be just off wind. That's the only negative right now, is it's an off wind. It's southwest, so I'm going to be threading the needle and hoping that these deer don't catch me coming into those scrapes. So we're going to sit this tonight, most likely, unless we have success tonight. I'm going to leave that set and come back and hunt that in the morning too. So far all I saw in that little area I was at was that one double ladder stand. That could be a rifle hunter, that could be a bow hunter, I'm not sure, but I pushed past that and went another 300 yards and found all that. So I'm going to go back to the truck, let that area kind of cool down for a minute. I didn't go terribly far, and then I'm going to come back in tonight and set up on that. But that is some good fresh sign, so we'll see what happens. Another thing about that area is not only does it have that oak island, it is a transition between two blocks of timber, and there's just a beat down trail between that. So I imagine this place probably gets even better as this month and then November goes on. But there's also a bunch of high stem count cover, which I should be windproof on that. That stuff's set up perfectly. So we're gonna set this tonight, and if we have success, awesome. If we don't, I'm gonna leave all the stuff in the tree and hunt it again in the morning. Well, that was a good evening sit. Had I think 4 does, and that, I know it's dark, you probably couldn't see it, but I had that 4-pointer come in right there at dark. Worked one of the smaller scrapes and literally came right to about 2 yards right underneath my stand. So all in all, it was a good night. I had I think it was 2 does come by early in the night and worked off. They came by quick, but then I had a second or a third doe come through, and she headed straight to the oak island that I was on. So if I had some more time, I would definitely scout this area, because I could hear acorns just dropping like crazy in front of me all night, and I could hear what sounded like deer milling around back there eating on them acorns. So I left all my stuff in the tree. I just brought my bow and some other stuff with me back to the truck. I'm gonna head back out in the morning and try it again, but definitely a good spot. So we're gonna try a morning sit, and after that probably get down and maybe go a little deeper and do some scouting, and go from there. See you tomorrow. So I scouted the rest of this and I didn't find anything close to as good as what's down here. So I put a camera down here, and I'm in this canary grass type setup, and there's absolutely no good trees. So what I did is I took a broken branch and lodged it in to the ground and connected my trail camera to that. So it's only going to be out here a couple days. I've got it monitoring that scrape that I showed yesterday. That's the only good sized scrape that I found. And then when I got down and did a little more scouting, I found another 3 scrapes. One of them had looked like it'd been worked like last night or the night before. I mean, all the grass was still kicked to the side. So all the tracks and all the trails converge into this area right here. So I'm not gonna hunt here tomorrow. I'm gonna go somewhere else where there's some standing corn, scout that, hunt there tomorrow, see if I get anything on this trail camera. So that's gonna be it for today. I'm not gonna hunt this afternoon. We're gonna go to a cider mill and just hang out with family. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. Heading in this evening, I didn't hunt this morning. Instead, what I did is I drove around and scouted the parking lots. So most of the spots I scouted, there was at least 2 to 3 trucks in each of them. So the spot I was going to go to tonight and a spot that I had scouted this morning didn't have any vehicles in there and had a cluster of scrapes. So I was going to hunt there, went there, and there's a truck there already, and I don't want to walk in and interrupt that guy. So I came to another spot, ran into a gentleman in the parking lot, confirmed he was going the opposite way I was going. So the spot that I'm trying to get to tonight is a point that goes out into a swamp, and it looks like from the e-scouting there's a bunch of trails that converge at this point, and then it works its way. There's a standing cornfield, so we're gonna give that a shot tonight. It's warmer than it's been. It's probably 65, 60, I don't know, maybe almost 70. So weather's not ideal, but definitely finding a lot of scrapes. So the guy I talked to in the parking lot, sounds like their pre-rut kind of coincides with us in Missouri. That October 31st is when it really starts to get good. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna scout my way in and see you at the tree I find. All right, I got set up. The sign is not what I was hoping it would be, but I do have a couple things that are positive. Acorns are dropping behind me. I can hear them. I'm set up just off of this point that leads into the cattails, and when I look on an aerial map, there's a bunch of trails that come right to where I'm at. So I didn't find any fresh scrapes in this area, and I did find a couple older rubs. So I'm not that optimistic that we're gonna see, let alone get anything tonight, but we'll sit here and see what happens. So I have a swamp with standing water behind me, so maybe if anything Well, that's going to do it for tonight. As you can tell, I ended up switching spots. I sat at that one spot for about an hour, and I didn't feel good about it. And I decided going to get down and head back to that standing corn. I just figured with that standing corn being there had to be a good sized scrape somewhere along that, especially with the corn still standing. So I ended up breaking everything down, headed back out there, went probably another 200 yards down the rows of corn, and sure enough, I found a huge scrape, and it had tracks all in it, tracks all around. So I ended up setting up in the corn for the rest of the evening, and I ended up having, I know you probably can't really see it, but that was actually 2 does that popped out probably 15 minutes after I got set up, and then toward last light, I had a small little buck come actually out of the corn, went over, worked the scrape, and then headed on. I wasn't able to get him on video because it was such close quarters. It ended up only being from where I was sitting about 20 yards. So I think I'm going to come back there in the morning, so I didn't want to spook him or have any issues with that. So yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. I ran into a couple gentlemen in the parking lot. When I came out, there was 4 trucks total there. I ran into a couple there. They were headed back in to pull a doe out, but they weren't anywhere close to where I was hunting. So that's going to do it for tonight, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, it's 9:44, and I'm already out of the woods. I just officially got introduced to Michigan public land. I was sitting there, and next thing I know, I start hearing some guys talking, and I start hearing a lot of commotion. I look down the rows of corn, and there's 2 guys carrying in a huge ladder stand, and then they cut into the woods and just completely were just loud, banging around, clanking. So I went ahead and got up, moved. When I'm headed back out, I run into another guy who's coming in, reeks of cigarette smoke, and yeah, so I'm done here. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even know if I'm going to hunt the rest of the morning. So I may drive around, see if there's any spots that aren't filled with oh, that's another thing. When I first got here this morning, I was the only one in the parking lot. Walking out, I passed 4 different vehicles. So I get it. It's public land. That's part of it. It's just frustrating when you are set up, you get there on time, and then you have all that happen. But it is what it is. So I may go find somewhere else to hunt. If I do, it's going to be from the ground. If not, it'll be a wrap for today. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I went to another spot not too far away. There was no trucks in the parking lot. And I basically just scouted my way back to where the hardwoods and the swamp met, and found 2 huge scrapes. I'll put them right here on the, I'll put a picture of them right here on the video. They were huge. They were just freshly worked, it looked like. Hardly any leaves in them. And fortunately though, I went about another 200 yards and found a deer stand. So, and I was a pretty good clip back there. I was probably a half mile back. So whoever's gone back there is in a good spot. I'm really starting to believe Ted Nugent. There's an old clip of Ted Nugent that says, if you can kill a deer in Michigan, you can kill a deer anywhere. And that is definitely true after what I've experienced this week. I've gotten on deer, but they've been either does or small bucks. I've got one trail cam picture of a buck, but it's at 3 in the morning. So I got one more day left, and unfortunately the last day, which is tomorrow, it's going to be like a high of 79. So I'm not really anticipating good deer movement or any success, but I doubt I'm going to hunt this afternoon. The Lions are playing and the Chiefs are playing after the Lions, so I'll probably just hang out with the family and watch football. So yeah, gonna go back, regroup, do a little more scouting on the Spartan Forge app, and see what I can come up with. Catch you guys tomorrow.